What does the Bible teach us about Holy Communion? Traditionally, we've been taught that it's a piece of bread and a cup of grape juice within a congregation in a church setting. Is it correct or incorrect? Stay with me until the end. Hi, my name is Miguel, Salmeron. We are the disciples of Christ. Today we're going to be talking about my book, Open Heavens, Chapter 1, Holy Communion. Holy Communion. Traditionally, we've been taught that it's a piece of bread and a cup of grape juice within a congregation setting, a church. But when we see Jesus, we see him do something totally different. Matthew 26:17 through 29. We see him in an upper room sitting down in a table with his 12 disciples. And we see that one of the disciples asked the question, Jesus, who's going to turn you in at the end of the time? And he says, the one that partakes with me at the same time in the same plate and eats with me, that's the one that's going to turn me in. Now, what am I trying to say? That Jesus does not just partake of a bread and a cup of wine, but he has a full meal. What is Holy Communion? Holy Communion is us. We are the holy ones. What is to be holy is to be set apart from the world. What is to be having communion? Communion is when we gather in the table, we partake of the same meal as believers in remembrance of Christ. We remember that he is the sacrifice of our life for our salvation. He sacrificed himself for us. Now, what am I trying to say? That what we do nowadays in a congregation as what we call Holy Communion is truly not Holy Communion. That is traditions of men. Let's see what the primitive church talks about. 1 Corinthians 11:17 through 22 talks about Paul talking about what seems to be Holy Communion. Holy Communion at the time were partaking it from the offerings of the believers that had the income. They would come and gather, give the offerings so they can feed the poor. Now, the only problem at that time was that the rich people, or the people that had money, were giving offerings so they can feed the poor, but they were also eating from their own offering. Paul rebukes them and tells them, if you are that hungry, you can't wait to partake with us at the same time in the table, go home and eat from your own table. Eat at your own home, eat from your own meal that you have at the house. So what it really teaches us is Holy Communion. It's literally what I've been talking about, full meal within believers. Now, we are the believers. We are the holy ones. The Bible talks about that we cannot take or partake from the Holy Communion unrighteously. Otherwise, it would be sinful and not clean. It's an unclean matter or way of doing things. Holy Communion is for the saints. We are the saints. We are the believers. And we gather to remember what Christ has done for us in our life. What he sacrificed, his blood and his flesh, for we can receive forgiveness. That's why we gather. That's why we partake of a full meal. That's why only the holy ones that believe and they're pure from heart and are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the name of Christ were able and allowed to partake from this Holy Communion. Many may be asking, so why do we partake of the Holy Communion like we know nowadays traditionally? The answer is Constantine. Constantine, we see that he stops the persecution of the believer and he allows the believers to start gathering within inside what we know church, a temple. When the church starts gathering in the temple, they start celebrating of this Holy Communion as we know in a traditional matter. Is it the biblical way? No, it's not. Because now we only participate of a piece of bread and a cup of wine, missing the main teachings of the Bible, or what the scripture teaches us of how we should remember Christ in a Holy Communion as believers. My desire is that we go back to foundation, biblical foundation, not ideology, not traditions of men, but what the Bible truly teaches us on how we should live for Christ. My desire for us to learn the right way so we can live properly according to Scripture, not missing the true example of what Christ teaches us in the Bible. Let's go back to main foundations, biblical foundations, so we can truly live the gospel the right way, so we can truly expand the gospel to those that are lost the proper way, not traditions of man and not what we think it should be right or the way we think may be the right way, but when we see and we study and we truly get deep with Scripture, we know what or how we should be living for Christ. Hi, my name is Miguel, author of the book Open Heavens. Do you want to download my book freely? Go ahead in the website, setapartones.com.